This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got this holistic healthcare secrets series going, and I have some amazing author, expert, healers here today to help me with this brave healer revolution. We aim to change the world one brave word at a time around here. And today, to help me do that, I have these beautiful ladies. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Laura.
Hello.
So you guys, these women aren't just authors, they're expert healing arts practitioners. Please help me welcome three of the amazing contributors to the Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing book series. You guys, the book series, the first book in the series was born back at the beginning of COVID, when I literally woke up one morning and asked a group of my healer friends if they wanted to help me teach the world how to heal themselves at home. And here now, just 5 months later, I am so incredibly proud to announce that our third volume will be launching very soon. So over the course of the next few weeks, I wanted to introduce you to these brilliant, wise, heart-centered badasses who said yes to this project. Thank you, ladies, for being three of those amazing people. So we've got Barbara Bustard. She is an artist, the founder of Art for Body, Mind, and Soul, and the author of The Art of Healing. She holds a BA degree in Religious Studies and Art from Notre Dame University of Maryland and certificates in color therapy and art therapy for self-healing and self-expression. You're going to find her at artformindbodyandsoul.com. And of course, I'm going to hook you up with all of these amazing women's websites and everything you need to know in our show notes. So don't worry about that. I have Liz Hansey. You know what? I was going to do this before we started. Hansey or Hansey?
Hansi.
Hansey, thank you. She is a certified professional coach with over 1,000 hours of coaching experience who guides women through the transitions of midlife. She is a member of the International Coaching Federation. She's a core practitioner of conversational intelligence, has a degree in philosophy and years teaching health and mindfulness practices. You guys are going to find her at livinglifecomplete.com. And lastly, Miss Gila Nehemiah has dedicated her life to share her light through her poetry, books, videos, and conscious collaboration. She channels words from source to heal and guide others to heal emotional trauma and open up their creative gifts to transform their lives and raise human consciousness. She's at wildwritersheal.com. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Laura.
So, Gila, I'm starting with you because, you know, this topic turns me on. It's always turned me on. And you were the brave soul who decided to write a little bit about expressing sexual desire. Tell me about this tool that you're teaching in the book.
Yeah, so this is something that really does turn me on as well. I think that I have come from a place of desire as being shame and judgment, you know, when it comes to sexuality. And I just felt that others might feel the same. And when we can accept our sexual desire and actually go after it, lo and behold, at least for me, I went through a huge transformation healing. So I just thought that might resonate with some other people as well.
I know that it will. And I learned once upon a time that a sensual or sexual expression and the healing that goes on in that is directly, intimately related to creative expression and healing. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually what I discussed in how You can, when you begin to express it, because it's in your sacral chakra, which is the place of creation and life force energy, you can open up into your creative life force by allowing yourself to, I don't want to say submit, but permit yourself to express, not just through, you know, it could be art, any form of art, but it's also your sexuality. Like your words create pictures. And at least for me, that's what it used to do. It created pictures, and then it created dreams, and then it created manifestations. So I think that's true of anyone's creativity. When they go that route, they're going to be able to manifest, because there are sometimes things that we feel we don't know how to say it in regular conversation, but art gives us that avenue.
Thank you for being, you know, one of the brave souls to take on the task. It was really the challenge I put you all up to writing these things in words, and you all are master teachers, and you do these kinds of things with your clients, you know, all day long. But to take on the challenge of writing a tool that people could actually follow and have an experience with. So thank you all for saying yes to that and for doing it so brilliantly. These books are little toolkits. They're also little books of hope in my mind, because when you're exposed to different ideas that maybe you've just never heard before, all of a sudden you might go from somebody who's tried, you think you've tried everything and you're losing a little bit of hope in terms of feeling better, to someone who realizes all of a sudden that there's things that you just don't know yet that could change everything. You guys have heard me say that before, so thank you. Thanks for you know, stepping up in this way, all of you. So Liz, talk to me about changing your brain and the tool that you wrote about in your chapter.
All right, changing the brain. So yes, my chapter about conscious communication is all about, I mean, words create our life, right? And so that kind of dance that we have between our brain chemistry and how we can communicate from a place of trust and inclusion and love and all of that. And so the tools, it's hard to talk about without talking about the topic, but the tools that I throw in there are a little bit of the visualizations, so that you can look at your default patterns, kind of where you go to as far as the use of your communication, your words, what you say, how you say it, the story that you kind of say to yourself. So there's a visualization in there to kind of look at your own default patterns. And then there's a little journaling and reflective exercise, and then some very, very pragmatic, you know, tools on actually word usage. So it kind of pulls together a lot of those different aspects of ourselves and how we communicate.
Well, you all know that these tools are very powerful, and throughout the book, we've got tools for mind, body, and soul, literally. There's all kinds of different tools. Some are physical tools, some are mindset and mental tools, and other are spiritual or soulful tools. Say that 10 times fast. And you all know very well that it's the integration of all of them, that there's never really a tool that you guys are going to read in this book and it'll just be for one thing, because my mindset, the energy of my thoughts are tied to my physical body and so on. Right. And this is like one of the things, and I'm going to ask all of you ladies in a minute to talk about our holistic approach with this. But Liz, changing your, you know, the neuroscience right now is fascinating. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that piece of things?
Sure. So primarily, you know, we're hanging out here, probably all of us, and in the, you know, prefrontal cortex. We all feel this sense of trust and inclusion. We feel probably collaborative, and we're in this good space, right? And we're talking and operating out of that part of our brain. That's the executive functioning part of our brain, right? So when we get triggered or upset, have a lot of stress in our life, or dealing with this fear and anxiety, especially if it's not, treated, or we don't have practices to kind of bring us into balance, we can get hijacked easily. As our brain kind of floods with those neurochemicals. So if we're confronted, it's kind of like the bear in the woods, the fight or flight kind of deal. But chronic stress has a way of heightening all of that. So what happens in the brain basically is that you really do start to get hijacked. You get this cortisol and norepinephrine, you get the stuff, pumping through your body. But it really shows up in our communication and what we say to ourselves at that time, or how we respond or react to someone else. And basically it just comes back around to it's a fearful part of our brain. It's a very primitive part that we end up getting hijacked to, and we're not speaking out of trust. We're speaking out of fear and distrust and exclusion, and you want to withdraw, or you get very positional, and that shows up in our communication. So that's it kind of in a nutshell.
Thank you for being able to do that in such a short couple of minutes there. That's a tough subject, right, that we could sit here and talk all day long about. Essentially, all of you are teaching awareness tools. This is about awareness, because awareness is healing. The opportunities we get in the moment to be aware of our thoughts and that language that we're, and the brain that we're operating from, these are game-changing tools. And you guys are going to see themes through the book of awareness and different ways to be aware. That's one of my favorite topics, and how everything ties into that. And Miss Barbara here is going to get us to pick up our pen and make some art in the form of doodling, which is something she's writing about. Barbara, talk to us all about this. I love this.
Okay. Well, art is it is so healing for all parts of the body, and especially the brain. Tagging on Liz. Yeah. So, and doodling, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not artistic. I can't draw. I can't do art. I'm not creative. And that's a lie. And doodling is something everybody can do. I mean, in school, you probably doodled, and you probably were told to stop doing it to pay attention. Well, one of the things that doodling actually does is increase your brain retention. If you're doodling while you're listening, you retain more of what was said. The other thing is it does all kinds of good things for your brain, which then affects your physical body and your spiritual self. So it opens neural pathways. It helps you solve problems because you're being creative, and the more creative you are, just like anything else you do, the better you get. And the more you create, the more neural pathways open up in your brain, which then makes you more creative, which also helps with problem solving, because you need creativity to problem solve. And it relaxes your brain. As Liz was saying, it takes you to a place where all that tension and stuff can go away, because the repetitive motion puts you in this relaxed, calm mental state. And then you also can become more self-aware, because then you get in touch with your authentic higher self or spirit, and you get insight, and you can realize, oh, this is the problem, and here's what I can do. So it's a very easy way to be creative. There's no more excuse, I'm not creative and I can't do art. You can doodle. That's all you have to do. If that's all you think you can do, just doodle.
Yes. Oh my gosh. How many times were we doodling in school and then asked to stop? You're giving me like a little light bulb moment about that. And especially if teachers knew that was a connection that would actually help the kids retain. And, oh my gosh, please don't get me started. But
Right.
you know what's so cool is we all are changing the world this way by having these discussions and sharing with people the different ways these things, you know, help. And Barbara, you just wrote a whole solo book on this topic. Tell us about your new book.
I did. My book is The Art of Healing. Well, I actually have the proof here. The real one's downstairs. It looks like this. And that line isn't there. That's the proof line. So it has 12 step-by-step meditative art exercises that will improve physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And each one starts with a little bit of a, sometimes it's a personal story, sometimes it's just a general reason, you know, what, and then there's a meditation, and from the meditation you go right into a step-by-step art project that everybody can do. You can even do it, the book is made so you can do it right in the book if you want and don't want to get a sketch pad and make big artwork, but you're probably going to want to because they come out really cool. And it doesn't require, it's like you don't have to be a trained artist. There's no elements and principles of art involved. It's just, okay, do this, and just, it all comes out of meditation. So you don't need, it's all free flowing. It can be, it's collage, it's doodling, it's, one involves just throwing balls of paint down on a canvas.
Nice.
And I'm telling you that I have a big one of those hanging in my living room. It's so cool. So
It's a new form of paintball.
ball painting, yes. I call it splat painting. So it's a way to make a lot of art that you can actually hang on your wall if you want to. If you like color like me, my house is totally color. I'm in the art room now, so you can't, and it's under construction, so you can't really tell. But anyway, and it's stuff you could even do it with your kids. You don't have to go through all the story behind it sometimes, but you could do the meditation with your children if you want to and change it. And anyway, and I'm doing a special, not special, but it's a bonus. If the book is purchased by September 15th, I am actually going to do a class starting September 22nd for 12 weeks where I will personally guide you through the meditation and the art making. We'll do it all together on a Zoom class. We'll do every exercise in the book, and it'll be free for those who buy by September 15th.
Thank you.
Just
amazing. That's an
just send me
amazing offer.
Yeah, just send me a proof of purchase on either Facebook or my email.
So you guys, one of my missions for these books, this whole project, was to get you up close and personal with the authors, because how many times have we seen somebody on social, on television, on the radio, in a book, and they seem untouchable after that. There's no way to have like a session with them or to get to know them any better than what you've read, right? Without paying thousands and thousands of dollars. I guess I'll just add that in. So one of the huge benefits of being a book owner of The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing is that you can come into our private group and you can learn from the authors. And so thank you, ladies, for doing those. Miss Barbara here was in our very first volume, and if you purchase either of the current volumes, you guys can get into that group. I know you're all waiting for volume 3. You'll be in there with the authors. You'll be able to ask questions and all of that good stuff. So Miss Barbara here is, taking that too and offering this amazing offering for purchase of her book. So take advantage. I'll hook you up with, if you send me your Amazon link, Barbara, I'll hook it up in the show notes too so people can grab it. So something that Barbara talks about is the connection between the meditation and the art. And the question I want to ask you ladies next is, so why holistic? What difference does that make in the grand scheme of healing? So Liz, I'm going to go to you for that one. Talk to me about the holistic approach of what you do.
The holistic approach of what I do. I mean, as a coach, definitely I coach the whole person. So it's never really, don't tell anyone about the specific topic or circumstance. It is the entire, it's the whole person and who they are behind all of that. So um, it's it's almost as if it's I mean, whether it's our communication or how we, you know, our daily habits, what we want help with, any of that, it's almost incomprehensible to me to not come from a holistic, like I can hardly even talk about not coming from a holistic place, because we bring all parts of ourselves to everything we do, and we cannot like really separate it. And I think that's where we have a lot of problems and conflict, is when we do try and keep these parts of ourselves separate, even different parts of our life. And so whether it's how we communicate, how we handle our stress and recovery, all of that stuff, or coaching people on even very, very, you know, specific topics, it still all comes from a mind, body, spirit, and integration, actually, to heal, to move forward, to, you know, communicate with love and effectiveness and all of that stuff. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, you know, the reason I ask some of these questions to every author is because people need to hear it in exactly the way you just said it. And then the same goes for every single one of you, right? So back in physical therapy school, when I was learning to be a PT, I very quickly understood that I wanted my approach to be holistic, because what I didn't see happening was the education about the mind and soul piece in physical therapy school. And I thought, wow, we're missing something here. Like, how can you have true, authentic healing if you're not treating the whole person? And I developed my own definitions of that, right? So Gila, what would you add to this conversation about why holistic? What difference does that make in terms of this healing journey?
Kind of like what Liz says, it has to all come together, you know, or else you're not in alignment. I really do feel, for my own journey and the journey of my clients, everything actually are pieces of a puzzle. And when we can, you know, understand that on all levels, mental, emotional, spiritual, as well as within our body, you know, because it's, you know, what I talk about is erotic desire. So we feel it in our body. But when we can associate that with the soul journey and where we're going, I mean, then you get, it's expansive. So then we become expansive. And that's kind of the journey I take my clients from, feeling limited to expansiveness, to limitlessness. And I feel that limitlessness is on all those levels.
Definitely. This topic, I'm telling you, is the best ever, right? And it's such incredible awareness. So Gil, I'm going to stay with you for a moment. What is one way you empower your clients and connect them to that inner wisdom or inner healer?
Wow, one way, it's hard to think of one way, but
I know you do have several ways, but yes.
You know, and I know this is, a lot of people talk about this, but self-pleasure is definitely something that I totally am, you know, I'm an advocate of. And in many ways, you know, it's the obvious, you know, of you know, pleasuring yourself, but it's also, you know, masturbation, but it's also could be like in the shower. It could be like just taking a really nice shower, eating really amazing food. You know, eroticism can be in anything that you do. And just like anything else, it's like a meditative state. And the more that you are aware of yourself and of your own pleasure, the more that you're going to emanate that, and you're going to vibrate that, so others will come to you in that same vibration.
Yes. A piece of my journey, the reason I feel it was a healing piece was moving from very, very inhibited feelings to not so much. And, you know, that we could fill in the blank there with so many different things. But there was that feeling of being free again is really the way that I want to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think that's it's very liberating. It's also, I think, liberating to have somebody say it's okay. I was just reading Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness and writing a permission slip. So I laughed when I first heard that, but I was like, yes, we should be writing permission slips all the time for being free, you know.
Definitely, for ourselves, for each other. We'll just, you know, yeah, I loved that piece too. So Barbara, talk to me a little bit about how in your world you empower your client and connect them with that inner wisdom.
It's mostly through the meditation part of the art is where you would connect. So in the meditation, they're all guided meditations, and there are, you know, suggestions, like as you're walking you find a note, and the note is from spirit. What does it say to you? And so when you're in that space, you will know what it's supposed to say. I mean, I don't know, but you know, so people will, it's meditation is the big thing. But you can get into that without a meditation ahead of time. If once you get into doing art, like I said, it doesn't matter, because once you're doing it, your brain is going to go there. When it's like you're in the zone, like you're totally unaware of anything but what you're doing, but you're not thinking so much about that. Your mind is like going and coming up with all these things, and all of a sudden you might hear a message like, you know, you really should do this. Oh, I really should, you know, and that has nothing to do with what you're doing. So just doing the art will take you there. But if you meditate first and then create the art from that, it's even better, you know.
Definitely. I'm sinking into a visual of some of the projects that I had started with painting. And I had to get over the thing you mentioned earlier, like, I believe everyone is an artist, but I went through life for so many years thinking that, you know, my sister got the art card, so that meant I didn't get the art card, and that I should just stick to my PT or my writing or whatever else I was into, right? But when I realized
writing is art.
Yeah. When I realized it much later in life, it was, again, just like I said to Gila, a freedom, because I realized there was a different way to connect that I hadn't tried yet, you know. So the painting, so I was just having the visual of the painting. So Liz, what's another way? And I know all three of you use so many different ways to empower your clients, and empowerment of the client is such an important topic, because if they come to you with an expectation to be fixed, you are not empowering them, right? And so I know all of you really believe in this, and it's why we wrote these books, seriously. But Liz, how do you do it?
How do I do it? Well, one of the ways, definitely with coaching, is by, you know, looking at the words, what people say, and what they actually mean by them. You can, you know, just going that level deeper of what you really mean by something. And then of course, just being witnessed, you know, being able to share in that dialogue is definitely a deeper connection, where you can go beyond words, if you will. And then there's always the visualizations, whether it's, you know, connecting to a fulfillment state, or a future self, or connecting deeper in, going inside and really checking in with your body's wisdom, like where you actually might feel a topic or, you know, a challenge, where does that reside in your body, and to talk to that part, to really, you know, let that part speak, if you will. So those are just a few of the ways that certainly coaching that I work with clients on those different levels.
I want to go back to one thing
Mhm.
you said about witness for a second. There have been different ways that this has come up on my journey, and I wanted to kind of slow us down on that because of how important I think it is. When I began to write for myself, you know, not with the idea in my head that I was going to publish it for anyone else to read. What happened is when I saw the words on the page, it was like there was a witness. And so I just want to the listeners and viewers to understand that you can be your own witness sometimes through writing, and then to have another being that takes it to a whole nother level. There's layers and levels of this, and I do love the topic of witness because I get that same wonderful feeling that we've been talking about, you know, with that. Anything else you wanted to say about that, Liz?
Actually, if I could, yes, because I got chills with you speaking. Writing is a huge way to witness ourselves, and writing this chapter for me was very very powerful in the way that I could witness myself. And yeah, I mean, yeah, writing is very powerful, and then to really let other people see that too is a gift.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for mentioning your own writing process. And one of the other interviews I did, that question came up, and and thank you. So thank you for sharing about how that was for you, because this project, you know, for me as a guide of it, I know that that's a piece where all of these authors, they're sharing a story. The story heals alone, and then we're adding the teaching piece with the tool where we get to, you know, use our expertise and help the reader understand a practical tool, which I think is just a magical piece of this book, and so powerful to have both. But the process for the authors themselves is definitely a healing journey, and you guys know the writing as a path to that healing is something that I talk about and that I love, and that I love that all of you guys really get. So, you know, just thank you again for sharing so authentically, all of you, in the story piece of this. So, Liz, let me stay with you for just a second. For somebody who is losing hope about feeling better, what would you say to them?
Wow, what a powerful question. Um, Truthfully, I would ask them, you know, what hope means to them. I mean, to unpack that, what that looks like, because it looks differently for different people. And so I think defining even that word for themselves, they would come up with their own answer for it. So that's definitely how I would work with a client. Like, really, what does that word mean to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And to tap into that.
Awesome. Sorry for my waving there for a minute. I got to call myself out. I've got workers in my house today, and we're right in the middle of COVID doing all of our digital brilliance. You see what happens. And normally it's cats walking across people's desks, but today I have workers knocking on my door. Yeah, there's power in words all across the board. So sometimes if you just allow yourself to go back to that place and really create your own definition of it, and it's kind of, for me, it's like a mind body definition.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it means to you, and then what it feels like to you. Gila talked about that a second ago. Gila, what would you say to somebody who might be losing a little bit of hope about feeling better, just in general?
Yeah, I've had that a few times, and I bring them back to where I was, actually, to be quite honest with you, and I felt like I was losing everything, and I didn't have anything, and I was like, well, you know, I am a mom of 3 kids, and if something happened to me, where would they be? You know, so I bring them back to their loved ones, and to remind them that, you know, you matter. Just those 2 words, you know, and you know, one of my clients actually said that to me. She wanted to matter, and I said, well, you do. You may not realize it, but and you are here for a specific purpose. Whether you know that or not is still to be revealed. But you wouldn't be breathing, especially in this pandemic, when you know, things are happening to people, but you're still breathing. So you must be breathing for a reason. So let's take that breath. You know, sometimes we even, you know, I do breathing exercises and meditation to bring them back into the breath and to how sacred that is.
Yes, you guys are going to find some very interesting themes across all of the chapters. Breath work is one of them. Awareness, of course, is another. Intuition, the connection, another. And all of these amazing experts can speak about all of these amazing things in their unique way, which is another thing that I'm in love with in terms of, you know, the books and the project as a whole. Yes to the breath work, profound. And we'll have a chapter about that in the book as well. And also, I'm just going to say thanks to you guys for picking a tool, because any one of you could have spoke about 30 different kinds of powerful tools that you all teach in your practices, right? And so I just wanted to recognize that. And I think that there's power in the ability to offer the toolkit to somebody. And each of our practitioners who stepped up to write about themselves and their story and their tool has their own toolkit and makes what they do so incredible. And I'll just say the word unique one more time. And that is why I want to say to everyone, if you're feeling in that place of losing hope a little bit, you know, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Just hang out in that question and let that question and the possibility of that question be in you for a few moments while you breathe, right? That could be a big deal. Barbara, what would you say to somebody who's losing their hope about feeling better?
I would ask them to create what hope is and what is their vision that they want to achieve. Because art can speak the words that are caught in your throat that you can't speak. So you can express yourself and get it all out, and then have a visual to look at and say, okay, it's not that bad. I can figure this out, or, you know, maybe this is what I need to do, or just, that's the way to get there, to process. Art processes a lot.
I think that's something that we don't think about. We talk a lot about voice expression, but there is art expression moves energy like that. And so I love that you talk about that way of doing it, because not everybody is ready to express with their voice or ready to express in other ways. So the art gives them this safe place to move their energy, literally, you know. Oh my goodness. Again, like, we could talk all day long about any of these topics that I'm asking you gals about today. Such amazing, amazing information and deep, rich topics. I got a couple last questions. Let's see if we can get to both of them before we finish up today. Barbara, talk to me about joy and healing. I'm leaving
joy.
that question very vague on purpose for you guys today.
All right, joy and healing. Well, just experiencing joy, having that emotion is healing, because it does all those things for your body. It helps you not feel pain physically. It helps your brain. It helps your emotions, your spirit. And joy is a different feeling than happiness. It's an emotion that is like, it's like in a moment, like there's this one wave that comes over you. It doesn't necessarily stay. Happiness can stay longer, I feel, but joy is like a spiritual happiness.
Mm.
And the most joy that you can experience is when you have done something for others and you get joy out of that. That is like the biggest joy.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Gila, what would you say about joy and healing?
Actually, as you asked, you might see my arm moving. I'm petting my dog. She doesn't bark. But I thought about that with joy, and really, I'm all about touch. Touch is a really, and everyone has like a different love language, and touch is one of mine. So and my dogs. But I feel like that it gives us joy. It gives me joy, and especially how you want to be touched. And that's something I talk about in my school of, I was brought up to kind of be the good girl and just listen to what other people said and to be silent a lot of the times because I thought that's what was asked of me. But when I finally realized, especially with a relationship with a person, and it could be even a child, just to say, this is how I want to be talked to. This is how I want to be touched. This is how that gives me a lot of joy to step into that and have others step into that as well.
Mm-hmm. Super important. I'm with you in terms of touch being one of my languages as well. But I love the addition of how you want to be touched. Really important to be in touch with that and to be able to express it, of course, because touch comes from other people. So yeah, thank you for that. Liz, how about you? Talk to me about joy and healing.
Well, based on especially what the others have said, a lot of my work revolves around kind of stress and recovery. So healthy recoveries, I think of as creating joy, creating it like Barbara said, it's not this happiness, it's just this deeper feeling. So certainly a healthy recovery is to pet animals, to feel that oxytocin kind of released in your body, or to do some artwork, or to write. See, I mean, it's those healthy ways that we manage stress or our lives that personally I think give us that deep joy, because we are taking care of ourselves. Service work is certainly one of them. So all of these different ways to kind of access that, and it's it's tapping into bringing ourselves back into that creative space, into that the right mind. And there's so many avenues to it, right? But that's the healer. That's what gives us the recovery to whatever stresses we have throughout the day. So it's huge. It's huge. It heals every part of us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It heals every part of us. For me, joy is a choice. And when I began to prioritize it, I felt healing that I hadn't felt in all of my years of seeking for healing. And so it was pretty profound topic. And thank you all for answering it so beautifully. So last question, kind of on the same thread. I'll stick with you, Liz. What do you love to do so much you lose track of time?
So I think of two things off the top of my head. One is definitely when I'm working with a client. The time goes by so quickly. It's crazy. It's like, really, I mean, I set timers, and it's still, it goes by so quickly. And the other is being out in nature, just being outside and immersed in nature and movement. So
you talked about something I was thinking about earlier when one of you was speaking, and I think it has to do with integration, because when you're bringing all of these sorts of topics into your whole life, as more about holistic, I think, then work doesn't feel like work, and work, especially with other people where there's a reciprocal energy exchange and there's joy being created from that, right? Like it just doesn't feel like work anymore. So thank you for making me think of that again. Gila, what's something you love to do so much you lose track of time?
So many things. Writing definitely is one of them. I totally lose myself in that. I started recently making bread, sourdough bread.
Nice.
So that has been something great. And I find it, I was just telling someone, it's like an extension of my heart. I feel when I'm creating with my hands, kind of like art. It is a piece of art, because every time it's somewhat different. So that has me, and it helps me to because sometimes I get stressed out about a writing piece or something, but it helps me to unstress or de-stress.
I love it. Making bread. That for sure is a unique answer so far. I love it. I love it. And I get it. It's hands. It's, oh my gosh. Again, we could probably sit here and talk all day long about when you put that kind of energy into your food and your literal food nutrition, right? Oh, OMG. Thanks for that one. How about you, Barbara?
What do you think?
Okay, I was actually a minute ago thinking in my head, you have to tell her she can't say art. So aside from art,
it's not just, I mean, I'm not talking just art like painting in that. It's creating. When I get an idea, it's not just always art.
Right.
But I mean, it's creativity. And if I come up with something, then I've got to figure out how to do it. And I just get lost in that. Like it's hours later and like, oh shoot, I was supposed to do this or that, but too late now. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And the other thing, like Liz said, is nature.
Yeah,
just going out and just seeing all the amazing, extraordinary beauty in nature. And I'll just wander around and take pictures. And
yes, agree. I think many of us have that as one of our ways to connect. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your wisdom. And I know everyone's really excited about the book coming out. It's only going to be a few more weeks before you guys are going to be able to purchase The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, Volume 3. That orange book cover, man, oh man,
gorgeous.
You guys, it's just amazing. Yes, I love it, Liz. I'm going to have to get some orange. Okay, so viewers, I'm going to hook you up in the show notes with these ladies' websites. Please go down and explore and then purchase one of the books, because you're going to be able to come into our private group on Facebook where the authors are teaching on Zoom live streams, and you can get in there and do some questions for them, all of the good stuff. I'm going to leave you with a question today that I may have already said today actually, but I'm going to say it with more dramatic effect. You ready? What if there's something you haven't learned yet about your healing that could change everything? So we got some of those somethings in these books, you guys. Until next time, go be brave.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank you.